So nice to be here.
Yeah, great to have you.
Brick Walk Tavern. Yeah, so tell me about this whole area, the Brick Walk neighborhood.
So it's a big community center. There's 9 eateries, a bunch of retail shops, kind of center town of Fairfield. I'm not actually from here, but I moved up here. My partner lives about 5 minutes away, and we decided to open up over here.
Now your partner, Ted, you've known each other since college?
We were acquaintances right after college and groomed a friendship over the years.
Yeah. And so what made you decide to do the restaurant together?
Well, I've been a career chef, and he's kind of followed my career, and he's an avid foodie and wine connoisseur. So I guess over the time we just decided to, over the years we spoke about it. He was a fan of many of my restaurants, and he just eventually came to me. We spoke about it, and the last 5 years we got serious about it.
Yeah. And so when was the actual opening date?
I think it was October 17th last year. We're coming up on a year.
Coming up on a year.
Yeah.
And already best new restaurant. Already best of the
Offline Media, yes. So.
And best of the Gold Coast.
Yep.
Yeah. So award-winning already before even a year.
We work hard. We do everything from scratch as much as we can. So we're trying our best.
So that sets the bar pretty high.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah. And so I was reading about chef-driven. Now, are all restaurants chef-driven?
No,
Tell me what you mean by that.
Without trying to sound pretentious, there's a lot of restaurants that have, very adequate to, trained staff operating. Chef-driven is a little bit more above the curve, creative, sophisticated. We change our menu 4 times a year. There's a lot of thought going into dishes, not just standard, side dishes. Everything's got a reason to be on a plate for the most part. Textural differences, seasonality. There's a lot of things that go into it. So it takes kind of a mindset to really focus on a menu that's going to feature all those components.
Right. And so the menu being seasonal, I know that's one of the things that people are talking about a lot now. So what does that mean to you?
Well, produce, sauces, heaviness for some food, braises in the winter and fall, mushrooms, stuff. Everything changes season to season. So springtime, summertime, everybody's looking to go trim down on the clothing. And so lighter food, vinaigrettes, not heavy sauces, not heavy food. Produce is avid, whether it's tomatoes or some of the leafy greens and stuff. Things are great during the summertime. Fall, you start getting into a little bit more stick to your rib type of food, rustic, braised, rich, full flavored. So there's a difference between the seasons.
Yeah, and so that you must get excited for each season too because of the freshness of all the ingredients.
No doubt.
You have a lot of purveyors you work with around here.
There is stuff that's locally sourced, but honestly, with some of these vendors, they have such a capacity to be able to buy from anywhere. So even when something's out of season locally, you can get a really good product from whether it's Mexico, the West Coast, somewhere else. Somebody's growing it fresh, and it's fantastic. Yeah.
Now, sophisticated, you mentioned, and I read sophisticated and yet approachable.
Yes.
So, and I also read a review that said that you're warm and welcoming owners. People talking about like the owners and the chef really means that you've set an environment here. So talk a little bit about the environment and what it means to you and your philosophy behind it and what would people see when they walk in.
Sure. We're a neighborhood place, that's first and foremost. And when I grew up and kind of gravitated towards having this passion for this business, it was all about community. It was all about welcoming people into your home. When I went to some of the local restaurants I went to with my family, just seeing owners hug the clientele, their patrons, it's an extension of your home, extension of your soul. And it was very important to me. And part of our mission statement when we talked about doing this was to have that kind of feel that we wanted to be here. We wanted to be present. We wanted to have a face for the restaurant. We really wanted people to know not just that we've got great food and we've got a great vibe, but that we're here and that we really appreciate them and we want this to become their place.
Yeah. Like, what did I read? Grandma's Parmigiana.
Yeah,
so is it an Italian type of, I know the restaurant.
That dish obviously is, but for
no,
me
but I mean the feeling, the whole. Like,
no, it's an American regional place. There's everything from like gastropub food to fine dining food, but nothing is too over the top or too low end. It's kind of a blend, so you can have either experience. We do have a lot of families, so you have parents who may want to come and have venison or a grilled octopus or something like that. Yeah. Kids that may want to have a burger or chicken parm, but we're going to do whatever we do with a lot of integrity from where we source it from, how we prepare it, what we do with it.
Yeah, no, I saw a lot of beautiful things on the menu.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, the octopus, a Reuben. There was
Reuben
quite a range.
Yeah. But even with the Reuben, we're sourcing a pastrami from the Bronx, so a real good old world pastrami maker, locally sourced rye bread that's fantastic. We make the dressing from scratch. It's a Reuben, but it's a great Reuben.
Yeah.
So
one of the things I noticed was a pancake. There was a specific pancake that had some ingredients. It was ricotta.
Lemon ricotta pancakes, which is kind of a trendy thing right now.
Oh, yeah. And so speaking of trends, you've been doing a couple decades of being in the restaurant industry. And and so you see trends come and go. So how do you approach trends without losing, the root of who you are, which is inventive and,
It's funny. My style has not changed over the years. I mean, I stick true to who I am, and that's the way I got cook for my soul. So even in an upscale manner, there's something still very approachable about my cuisine. Right now, molecular gastronomy, sous vide, all that kind of stuff is part.
Right.
I don't do this stuff. It's not what I do. No disrespect to it. I mean, people have their styles, and the results generally are very good. But I like to stick to grassroots cooking, the way my grandmother cooked, the way I cook, the way I've learned under great chefs over through the 80s and 90s, and just kind of stuck with me. And I really fell in love with what I was doing all that. So now, whether it's certain ingredients or doing some research and stuff, there's always development, there's always a little bit of innovation, but for the most part, I've stuck true to who I am throughout my whole career.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And so when you get people who love your restaurant, they're loving you too.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's easier to welcome people into my home, and I call this my home, sticking to who I am.
Yeah, and that's why we sat in these comfy chairs.
Yeah, these are my chairs.
Yeah, and this is beautiful by the fireplace. And
it's great. I mean, especially during the winter time when you turn the fire on, people come in before dinner, they sit down here. After dinner, they come. We will not serve food here because people want to stay here.
So, I believe it.
So we want to turn this over. We want people to really enjoy this space. It's a couple of beautiful lounge chairs, a beautiful fireplace. When this place gets crowded in the weekends, it's standing room only for the most part.
Yes, so it really sets a mood.
No doubt.
And so when you were saying your grandmother, now is your grandmother, was she your inspiration for the whole thing?
I think
was
both my parents and my grandmother, started from just a household approach. Dinner time, they were friends of the family more than my friends, my parents' friends, who all knew what time to come over.
Yeah, okay.
Unannounced.
Could they smell it from the streets?
Well,
or?
they just knew. They just knew, and my grandmother, old school Italian woman who just she was able to extend herself just through food, and she was always welcoming, always wanted the company, and seeing how many people were central to our home and how food was central to our holidays. We weren't a very religious family, so it was much more about the hospitality of the occasion and bringing people together. And then it started with the career that the restaurants I chose generally had that feel to it also, and I just kept going from there.
Yeah, no, the hospitality is a big thing. I've been noticing about you and just the way that you welcome people. And you want them to have memories here. You want them to feel that they can create an experience here with you. So about creating the experience, you have a room that do the patrons actually, if they reserve that, they curate the menu with you? Is this?
I try to let them allow me to do my thing, and I try to also let the menu be a surprise. So it's a chef's table. It sits about 8 to 10 people. 8 is the max. We'll do anywhere from 2 to 8. And we do mini course tastings, 5, 7, 8 courses, wine pairings if they want. I like the idea, as long as there's no parameters, no restrictions, that I just come with each course, explain each course to them, course by course. It becomes a very interactive evening, and they love it. And I give them a printed copy to take home with them so they know what the menu is. But most of our clients that have enjoyed that really have liked the surprise factor of the dishes coming out.
Yeah, that's beautiful, right? Be open because they know that what's coming is going to be brilliant, right? Yeah. No, I've had a peek at the menu and I can't wait to be in the kitchen with you. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, and there's so much we can do here. I mean, we do everything from scratch for the most part. We make some of our own pastas, but we smoke our own meats. We make our own bacon. So even for our brunch, was this pretty conventional, eggs Benedict, stuff like that. We cure and smoke our own bacon. We cure and smoke our own Canadian bacon. We make our own breakfast sausage. We smoke our own salmon. We make our English muffins and bagels. We do everything from scratch. And
so with you and Ted, how do you divide your responsibilities? I mean, where does it overlap, and what expertise can you both bring?
Well, both of us, Ted's owned retail businesses before. I'm a first-time owner, but I've got a lot of hospitality background, so I lend a lot of insight from that perspective. He's got a little bit more business acumen and just is able to kind of push me into thinking things from a business sense, although I've gotten good throughout my career, and still nice to be pushed a little bit sometimes. So we kind of meet in the middle, a lot of the back office stuff. He's handling a lot of the wine list right now too, and I'm handling a lot of the hospitality and the culinary end of things, and we're both grooming each other as we go along.
Yeah. And so Fairfield, you said you're not from here, but tell me the whole vibe of Fairfield. I mean, this is my first time here.
It's a really mixed bag. There's a lot of families here. There's a lot of affluent people here. Yeah. But if you look around, especially the downtown area, there's a lot of upscale casual eateries. There's a ramen shop. There's a couple of Italian trattorias and arts and pizzerias and stuff. So there's a little bit of a mixed bag of what people are looking for. I think we brought in a little bit of a creative, innovative edge to the food end of things. So it's been great, and people have identified with what we're doing here, and there's enough people to go around, so we're doing well, everybody's doing well, and just hopefully we keep growing from here.
That's great. Yeah, so upscale tavern. So it has a little bit for everyone.
Sure. I think tavern's been a little confusing for some people. You know, people think of tavern, beer, burger, shot, stuff like that.
Right.
We're a little bit different than that. And if you walk around and look around the place, it's not a tavern. But we're not a tavern like Gramercy Tavern's not a tavern in New York City. So, you know, we're an upscale, chef-driven tavern, seasonally inspired, globally influenced, but still very approachable.
Very approachable, right? Yeah. And so, tell me about your. I'm thinking about approachability, about your tribute wall, and the way that you think about the people who've influenced you and your family and even the chefs. I mean, paying homage to chefs that you respect. Tell me.
So
about
there's actually two rooms, both the chef's room and the tribute wall. So Ted and I were talking about a much smaller operation when we were thinking about going somewhere, and we wanted to call it tribute. And it was important to me because I really wanted to pay respect, definitely to mentors, but more so to family and friends, people that have helped shape not only our careers but our lives to get to this point, to the people that were the fabric of our, developing into the people that we've become. And we really spoke about doing a restaurant called Tribute, but when we came to this spot, the place was a little too large and we didn't love the name for this space. So we decided to do a tribute wall, which has got pictures of a generational look of our families, and it was important to us to have our families on the wall.
That's beautiful. And about the recipes written on napkins and.
So in the chef's table, we have look at some professional chefs that there are a lot of current chefs that are great, but I really want to respect people like Julia Child, Jacques Pepin, Paul Bocuse, stuff like that. So we have stuff like that. I've got old family recipes. I think I've got a nutmeg grater and a pie cutter from like 1920 that was my grandmother's and stuff. So just a lot of heirloom stuff, a lot of stuff that's just again respectful to who I am and where I come from.
Yeah. So a little bit of sentimentality.
Sure, no doubt.
That's okay to say?
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I think of Joni Mitchell when I think of writing on a napkin. She wasn't a chef, but I think about
same thing.
The imagery
artists
of just...
Artists are artists, people who have passion.
Yeah. And so speaking of artists and artistry, layering. I was thinking about layering in terms of music, in terms of clothing and wardrobe, in terms of design. And you're especially good at layering flavors.
Sure.
And elevating ingredients. So can you talk a little bit about layering and how you accomplish that?
I'm sorry, I talked to a lot of my young cooks over the years about layering, and it really is the term. It's not just about seasoning through layers, but it's about respecting the food and developing characteristics through every layer of the dish. So a dish, whether it's a sauce, a protein, appetizer, entree, whatever you're looking to do, there's multiple components that work. So you want to feature your main ingredient, but you also want to have other things that help accentuate it, that contrast it well. So there's a lot of thought that goes into the food, and then there's the layering of flavors and textures that you want to work together and work a little bit against each other depending on the type of dish that you're doing. And to bring some of the young kids around to understand how to do that, and there's a methodology and there's patience to it. Sometimes it's a hard lesson to teach, but I never stop teaching it.
All right, exactly. Take that little black dress and just the right little
accessorize. So
not to minimize what you're saying.
No, but it's true.
Yeah, no, it's quite a skill.
The funny that you talk about accessorization, but it's the same thing because the main outfit is the key.
Right.
But then
the food that
else,
should speak for itself in some ways.
So an ingredient like lobster or crab, very delicate flavors. Right. Don't overshadow them, but have something that kind of marries well. Let the bracelets match the outfit, so to speak, and go from there.
Right, but not take over.
Exactly.
Yeah, beautiful principle. And so I love the fact that it's like really warm in here, and yet you have the bank of glass, so you can kind of see outside what's going on.
Sure.
So it's got this nice feeling of intimacy in here, where we're in here and we're cozy and we're near by the fire, and then we can also see what's going on in the bustling brick walk neighborhood, which is burgeoning.
Exactly, and both rooms have a different personality, and the chef's room is obviously good, has a much different personality as well. So there's a little bit of something for everybody in the place.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
And so, the other room that we first went into? What do you call that room?
It's our main dining room. We get a lot of families that eat there, although a lot of kids want to eat in the bar too. So, but we do have families here. Obviously, this becomes a much more social room because of the couches, because of the fireplace, the bar, solid maple bar. Our contractor, this is a neat story, but our contractor,
it's custom.
He brought in a tree, literally a tree.
Really?
And with the bark and everything, and just shaved it down in front of us and built this bar. And we even had the bar sitting in the template, the top of the bar, with the bark just extended. He said, you want to keep it like this or you want me to shave it down? So we decided we wanted to do a little bit more polished, but it was fantastic.
Yeah,
Again,
to see it
artistry,
live, but then also just
watching
shave it.
somebody bring in a raw product and fabricate right in front of you it was really fantastic to be part of that.
Again, more artistry.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, I'm really looking forward to the dinner party. I'm really looking forward to being in the kitchen with you.
Good.
I cannot wait to see. Give us a tiny hint of what I'm going to see tonight. Just a tiny hint.
Well, yeah, we've spoken about the menu a little bit. I think that we've got 4 savory courses, 1 sweet. We've got some really fun stuff, things that are commonplace for foodies, stuff like that. We will do together probably a dish with oxtail, which I think is going to be a fun dish. Not a lot of people are used to it. It's braised beef. It's done really well. But I think the composition of the dish with the fresh gnocchi that we made, the crispy celery roots, it's going to be a really nice dish.
Yeah, well, beautiful. So nice to chat with you.
Cheers.
So happy for your success.
Glad to have you here. Thank you.
And can't wait to be in the kitchen with you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.